Good evening to everyone watching this video. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing to my channel as of late. I definitely appreciate it. In this video, we're going to be talking about more wintry weather impacts to the United States and Canada, and this could bring more wintry weather in the form of snow, ice, and some widespread cold air across the United States. But is there a warm up in sight? And how warm will those temperatures get? And we're going to also look at the long range. So a lot here in the forecast this evening. If you are here, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We are quickly approaching 128,000 subscribers. You want to help me reach that point? We're only 514 people away from hitting 128,000. You want to help me get there this evening? Subscribe to the channel, like the video by giving it a thumbs up, especially if you do find it informative throughout. And share this video with friends, family, and on social media. I truly do appreciate it. Let's look here at our temperature anomalies this Wednesday evening. And notice it has really dropped like a rock here in the plains with our temperatures. And we are sitting around 50 to 55 degrees below normal for this Wednesday evening on February 19th for where we should be. And let's look at our low temperatures as we wake up Thursday morning, February 20th. We're going to see double-digit sub-zero temperatures across the majority of the northern and the central plains and much of the Midwest here, and especially into the Dakotas, Minnesota, into Nebraska, western Iowa, and perhaps even northern Kansas. Those are the coldest areas where air temperatures without the wind chill will be 15 to 25 degrees below zero. And we look at those wind chills with a little bit of a wind, even just a 5-10 mile per hour breeze out there, our wind chill values will be dropping to 25, perhaps even 35 degrees below zero in a large chunk of the north central U.S., all the way down to North Texas, into Arkansas, perhaps even northern portions of Mississippi, northern Alabama, and Tennessee. So this is some widespread, dangerously cold air. So if you are venturing outdoors even this evening or even tomorrow morning for work or school, make sure to bundle up in layers covering exposed skin, because frostbite in these conditions, especially with northward extent in the U.S., can lead to frostbite in less than 30 minutes. How about the western U.S.? Yes, we're still cold out here, especially into eastern Montana. Temperatures around 10 to as much as 15 degrees below zero for our air temperatures tomorrow morning. Same thing, handful of degrees below zero in eastern Wyoming and eastern Colorado. Otherwise, the Rockies out here will be in the teens and single digits for your morning lows. Southern California, southern Arizona here from San Diego and Los Angeles all the way over to Phoenix and Flagstaff. A lot of these areas will be pretty cool still in the morning for what you typically see. Looking here at the wind chill factor as we go into Thursday morning, notice around 25, 30 degrees below zero into eastern Montana. Same thing in eastern Wyoming and eastern Colorado off the front range there. Looking here at the eastern U.S., areas that are seeing a deeper snowpack, you can clearly see it across western Maine into New Hampshire, Vermont, and upstate New York. We've had a lot of snow this winter up here, and it's kind of acting like a freezer, right? Areas surrounding the snowpack, we're seeing into the above zero territory, into the single digits and teens, but we have a deeper snowpack. Temperatures will be a handful of degrees below zero here to start your Thursday, and our wind chills here will be around 10 to 15, perhaps 20 degrees below zero. So again, in these areas, make sure if you venture outdoors, cover any exposed skin, bundle up in layers, because frostbite in these conditions can still occur in about 30-35 minutes time. Let's look at our weather pattern as we go through the rest of this evening and in through the rest of this week, shall we? So let's look at our winter storm that continues to bring some snow impacts to parts of Virginia, especially eastern Virginia, southern Maryland, Delaware, down even into North Carolina, an icy mix there in the pink. And then we see more rainfall further south, exiting South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. A new winter storm is bringing some hefty amounts of precipitation, both in the form of snow and rain across the Pacific Northwest. We can move that into tomorrow. Notice we're going to see a lot more snow across portions of Idaho, down into Nevada, Utah, Wyoming, and also Montana. A lot of this will be fluffy snow with how cold it is. Then we extend it into tomorrow night and then into Friday. Notice not much going on in the U.S. A lot of H's here. That means high pressure, and we're going to see lots of clearing skies across the eastern U.S. But clearing skies means radiational cooling, so those cooler temperatures we'll be able to hang on a little bit longer as we go through the week. Let's look at precipitation going through your Friday evening, and you can see the heaviest amounts will be in the areas of the coastal southeast, but especially the Pacific Northwest here from Seattle down to Portland. I think we could see some pretty hefty amounts of rain, around an inch or so as we go through your rest of the week here. And snowfall in the higher elevations. Yes, we have some snow chances here into the Ohio Valley and into the Mid-Atlantic. Very light in nature. We're not seeing any significant snow. However, areas of lake effect snow in far northwestern and northern Indiana and far western portions of the counties in western lower Michigan could be getting a few inches of snow from lake effect snow band kind of pivoting from north to south in those areas. Otherwise, the Pacific Northwest will be seeing several inches of snow as we go through the rest of the week. Any ice concerns out there? Not really. Areas in eastern North Carolina, maybe a glaze of ice to come, but a lot of these areas have already seen their ice impacts, so I think this will start to dwindle as we go through the rest of the week, especially as we get toward Friday. I don't think we're looking at really any icing concerns additionally out there. Now, going into the weekend, Saturday, February 22nd, Sunday, February 23rd, notice we widened the view out to North America. Notice Alaska, much of western Canadian provinces such as Yukon, the Northwest Territories, British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and to some degree Manitoba as well, will be well above normal with our temperatures as we go through the weekend. And we'll still see some warmer air out west, but it's going to be kind of intermixed. We're in the higher elevations, obviously, this time of year, still seeing some colder air. In the lower elevations, we'll be warming up. In the east, we're still remaining pretty chilly as we average out those 2 days this weekend. But our temperatures will be moderating. So as we go into Saturday, still seeing some energy here across portions of the Pacific Northwest, and warmer air means maybe some more rain instead of snow. Also some drizzle and or rain showers across the south central Texas near the Rio Grande. We'll keep an eye on that as we go into Saturday evening. That could shift north toward the DFW area into Tyler, Texas and East Texas as well. Otherwise, hefty amounts of rain across Washington State and Oregon into northwest California there Saturday night, and then into Sunday, and it just continues almost with an atmospheric river in these areas. And then we have that Clipper system track in southern Canada here that could bring us a couple inches of snow going through the weekend. Looking here at the precipitation, as far as liquid precipitation goes for the weekend, talking around an inch and a half of rain for portions of south and eastern Texas, really along and east of I-35 into western Louisiana, and then coastal Texas, Houston, Galveston, down to Corpus Christi, and maybe as far south as Brownsville, Texas. We could be seeing a little bit more rainfall there. Very heavy rain from western Washington State into western Oregon and into northwest California, Seattle, Portland, Medford, and Eugene. A lot of those areas seeing heavy rainfall on the order of 1 to 4 inches through just the weekend itself, and a lot of snowfall, especially there in British Columbia. We could be seeing a couple feet of snow on the western coastline of British Columbia there. Some snowfall in the Cascades, especially Washington State Cascades up there. Otherwise, central and northern Idaho and western Montana. We're looking at Canada now. We're seeing a little bit of a Clipper system track here intertwined. So areas of northern Saskatchewan, Alberta, and Manitoba will see maybe upwards to 2 inches of snow. And then most of the province of Ontario and Quebec will have a chance of at least an inch of snow as we go through the weekend. Otherwise, the heaviest snows, again, like we mentioned, are going to be the western coastline there of British Columbia all the way up there toward Yukon as we go through the weekend. Now, going into next week, we promised a huge weather pattern flip as we go into the last week of February. Monday, February 24th through Saturday, March 1st, we're going to see a milder temperature trend across the lower 48 and southern Canada there as well. And it will be a slower trend, but we're going to see some milder air being mixed in here. So it's not going to be predominantly cold or Arctic cold like we've been seeing. And we're looking at a drier pattern, thankfully, for areas of Kentucky southward of the Gulf Coast. We need a break from the moisture. Saturated soils in a lot of these areas. We just need the break, and it looks like we're going to get it at least for a 5-day period. Now, with that said, we're still going to see some active weather further north. So notice the ridge that's bringing us our milder temperatures across the western U.S. Ridge here is in yellow and orange, and a trough is in blue or darker blue here in the east. What this means is we're going to have a ridge here out across the west, our storm track over top of that across portions of western and northwest Canada, diving from northwest southeast toward the upper Midwest and Great Lakes before lifting back up again over top our ridge in the North Atlantic. So that means the Northeast could kind of be in line for some more active weather into the last week of February. So going here, looking at the European model, this is Monday, February 24th. Notice very active here, a lot of green, a lot of blue up here, rain and or snow showers across the north, pretty dry across the south. And that's going to be the trend as we go into the next week time frame. There's some rain there, maybe some snow mixed in there into areas that have that deeper snowpack, changing that rain over to snow middle of next week. But here's the model that we're keeping an eye on. By Thursday, February 27th, Friday, February 28th, maybe even Saturday, March 1st, could be seeing a more significant system that could move and evolve into the northeast. Now, this could have phasing issues with the jet streams. If they phase together, we could have a stronger system here. If they don't phase together as much, we might have a more weaker system suppressed to the south, and that all hinges on the phasing here. Right now, the European model phasing it loosely, so we have a little bit of some snow. Now, if we look at the GFS model, the American model guidance, notice here we have that active weather as we go through the middle of next week, up here across the Pacific Northwest, over top that ridge, and then across the Great Lakes and Northeast with some clipper systems. But watch later next week, Thursday the 27th, Friday the 28th, Saturday, March 1st. That's the time frame we're watching, the Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast. Notice the GFS model phases the jet streams together a lot more significantly. That would bring more of an inter-northeast snowstorm from Maine down here into Pennsylvania and down the Appalachians into West Virginia and maybe the Smoky Mountains region. We'll keep an eye on that. Looking at the differences in the models, the European model is a lot loosely phased, so that means the systems don't come together and create a big storm as much, so we're seeing lower snowfall totals, heaviest here in the eastern Maine up toward Caribou there. And then if the GFS is correct and it phases more together than the Euro is showing, then we could have a more closed off low that could produce a lot more heavy snow from the Ohio Valley, perhaps southern Indiana and Ohio, all the way up through inter-northeastern areas of northwestern Pennsylvania, northern Pennsylvania, much of New York State, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, western Massachusetts there, more rain closer to the coast. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that. Looking here at kind of an average, a mean, this is the ensemble guidance showing more of an inter-northeast system, more for Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, upstate New York, and northern Pennsylvania, and especially southeastern Canada here for southern Ontario and Quebec. We'll keep an eye on this as we go closer to next week. Now, as we go into early March, we're going to continue to see winter transfer over into the new month with some colder air across the lower 48. A lot of variability here. There will be some warm days. There'll be some cool days, not predominantly cold like we see now every single day, but there will be some cold days mixed in here, and that could lead to a little bit of a stronger winter storm track for the eastern United States in through the first 7-8 days there of March, going through March 8th or so. You can see the ridge up here all the way to Alaska and the North Pacific. That will force our storm track down across the lower 48, especially the central and eastern U.S. into the first week there of March. You can see a lot of green on the map here, especially the eastward extent. That's where we expect the most active weather, the eastern seaboard here. And with northward extent too, with the colder air in place, we could have some snow threats. Now, on the warm side of these storms, we could be seeing some more heavy rain and severe weather trends as we go into the first week of March. That would be more favored along the Gulf Coast, Dixie Alley, and into the deep southeast here. And then looking at the colder air, again, we still have it. There's still a supply of cold air. We still have a snowpack on the ground in a lot of areas in the north here, and that will keep us a little cooler, which could then, if moisture moves over those areas, change that rain over to snow or at least ice in some areas, and we could see some snow threats, ice threats further off to the north. So the northern plains, the upper Midwest, Great Lakes, and especially the Northeast, big signal here into areas of Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, upstate New York, a lot of areas that have seen snowfall, over and over and over again here this winter season would likely get the bulk of that as we go into the first week of March as well. So that was a lot of information. We'll continue to keep you covered on all things weather, whether it's a winter storm, the polar vortex with the cold air, or just your March outlook. We'll continue to get closer and get you more accurate information on that. Subscribe to the channel for the latest weather information by following along and sticking with me with my accurate weather forecast. Well, again, we're just over 500 subscribers away from 128,000. You want to help me get there? Subscribe to the channel now. Like the video, give it a thumbs up, especially if you did find it informative. Share this video with friends, family, and on social media. If you want to leave a comment, question, or concern down below, I'll be glad to answer any questions you guys do have about the weather. But that's all for me now. Thanks for watching, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their Wednesday out there.